Hi, my name is Dan Renee, and I'm a software architect for Lona. And today I'm going to be going over how we can integrate the Symetrix DSP audio platform with the velocity control system. I'm first going to start off by working with the Symetrix Composer software. And I'm currently connected to a Radius AEC frame at 192.168.2.220. And I'm first going to start off by setting up various controls, in particular the fader for an analog output and mute buttons as well. Now the first thing I want to do is go to my Tools, Remote Control Manager. The first tab gives me all the controls available for that frame. And as we see here, we've got a various amount of controls. We can do switching, voice over IP, and fader bars, etc., etc. Currently, I don't have any assigned control numbers, so we need to assign control numbers to the actual frame to be able to control it. So I'm going to sort by module here, and I'm going to work with the 8-channel analog line output. And I see here I've got output 1 volume set up as a fader. So I'm going to set up remote control for that fader. And I'm just going to assign remote control numbers. I'm going to start at just an even number, 200. And then afterwards I will auto assign future faders and other controls. So we'll just assign 2 outputs, the faders, and let's do the mute buttons as well. Output 2 mute button. Okay. And now we see we have 4 assigned controller numbers. So we can hit close. And now we need to push the configuration to the radius. Say OK. Successfully pushed. Okay, great. Now the last thing we need to do is generate a report. This provides us the data we need to import the assigned controls into Velocity. You want to select the assigned controls, output to a file, text only, and hit OK. And I loaded a file. And the file looks like this. So it's tab formatted, and we actually parse this file and import those controls. So let's go and open up Velocity next and import those values. First things first, I want to explain we have a basic room here I named DSP testing. It has a Samsung TV with 1 source assigned. And I'm going to add the DSP control setup. Now we can go in and if we clear the search, let's just search for Symetrix. And we want to use the Composer Control Protocol. And then we want to assign it the IP address. Hit save just so that we get a connection. All right, now we can import those controls from the text file that we exported, site1.txt. So we should get 4 controls imported. And there we are. We've got control ID 200 through 203. We get the name and the component name and the type. For faders, typically this will be an integer. For mute buttons, this will be a Boolean. And then faders range from 0 to 65535, which represents a 16-bit representation for Symetrix. That's how they do faders. And we need to save those imported controls before we can actually start controlling things. So let's go back to the controls, and now we can now we get a reading of what the current values are, and we can control the actual outputs. Now, if we want to change our range, the Symetrix per decibel is 780 units. So that would give us one less decibel in that range. And then we could also, change the range. Maybe we don't want it as loud for the user, so we'll go 60,000 and hit save there. And we can compare the difference between those faders. So we see here this fader goes from 12 decibels all the way to negative 71.5. This fader will be limited now to 4.9 decibels rather than 12. And this only goes to 71 because we have just a minor minimum at this. And we can control those mutes as well. Now, to integrate this with the velocity control page, we need to assign it to velocity controls. So here we allow you to assign it to a master volume. We can also assign to a master mute. And if we want to control things like microphones and maybe line ins, if we want a more granular control on other controllers, we can assign things. Let's say we can go microphone 1 gain. Let's just pretend that's a microphone, and microphone 1 mute. Hit save. Okay, and now let's launch the control page. All right, now we have real control here on this fader for the master volume. We can mute down here, and when we change the volume, it will unmute. And the microphone channel, which we set up to this other gain, which I believe was limited to 4.9 decibels, is right here. Now these can be changed, the names can be changed through an alias function. Here in the room control options, click there and scroll all the way down to room controls. And we could say, let's say this is podium microphone. Save there. And it looks like it refreshed. And now we have it named podium mic. And that's all we have for this video. If you have any questions, please contact us at Atlona. Thanks.